What's up, everybody? Welcome to the channel. We're gonna call this part 2 of our top feed fuel system conversion on our kooky S14 project. And if you're new to this channel, you better hit that subscribe button below. And the reason why is because when we are done with this project, we are giving this car away. So you don't want to miss out when we announce how you enter to win this car. Check out what we got done last time. We got our new radium fuel rail in. It's all mocked up. We've got our new injector seats and our Injector Dynamics 1050cc fuel injectors. This setup is way too nice. Honestly, I can't believe we're gonna be giving it away because it's so nice. It's so much nicer than my own stuff. So, huge shout out to Alex at Ignition Logic for helping us get this system put together. Nice parts just feel nice. But let's jump into the rest of it. Here is the rest of our fuel system. We've got all of our fittings from Vibrant. They make super high quality AN fittings. And we've got our lines that we plumb into our fuel rail for our fuel feed and our fuel return. And all the fittings to connect them. Our little fuel pressure gauge that's going to mount onto the fuel rail. Since we changed from side feed injectors on the last episode, we have to connect new clips so that these will connect to our new type of top feed injectors. Bunch of miscellaneous fittings. A 10 micron fuel filter. So this fuel filter is designed to filter out super small particles that are within spec for our Injector Dynamics injectors, so that our injectors stay under warranty and we're running a really good fuel system that filters out any damaging particles. We've got our clamp for the fuel filter that holds it to the side of the car, and that's just an empty box. Let's get started. Check this out. I want to show you the detail with these radium products. Super nice finishes. Little details everywhere. Man, I'm hyped to get this stuff installed. First part that we're going to install is our fuel pressure regulator. We are going to run the factory one, as it will be adequate for what we're doing with this build. And you use a little adapter here that helps it go into the fuel rail and connect the OEM fuel pressure regulator. Now, there's a lot of O-rings in this that you're going to want to lubricate just a little bit, especially on ones that just press and insert in order to make sure that you don't tear them or rip them or crease them on the way in. The nice thing about quality systems and parts like this, when they use O-rings, it's going to provide you a super solid seal without using a bunch of thread sealant or thread tape and stuff like that that's eventually going to leak. So the goal here, when you actually, I'm going to mock all this up right now, but the goal here is to not over tighten these, but tighten them enough to where they don't leak. So right now we're just going to mock up the position. It's time to set up the fuel rail and all the components that attach to it, all the fittings and everything. So it's easier to do out of the car. I just wanted to bring it out, get it set up, and then put it back in. In order to get things to fit right, might do that a couple times, but we're going to make it nice. Ooh, we are starting to have a fuel system. Let's test fit this thing, see which direction this needs to be pointing for our fuel inlet. I've got the fuel filter mount right here. up against the strut tower. So it's going to basically get fuel in, up through the filter, out through the top, and then into the rail. So I've got the rail out right now because I got to sort out some fitting issues and make sure we get the right fittings for the filter. So I'm going to start working on wiring in the new plugs for the Injector Dynamics 1000cc injectors. Your first step is to get these little rubber shields on. Second step is to crimp this pin, and you have to do that on every wire for every injector, and slide the plug on it, and then it will be ready to plug into the injectors. What's up, guys? Okay, it's a couple days later. I had to order a few different fittings and a new length of hose in order to run the fuel lines super clean and the way that I wanted them to look, so that the end result is phenomenal. So I'm gonna refit everything to the fuel rail, and we are going to finally finish this install. All right, so one of the new fittings I got was a 180-degree 6AN fitting from Vibrant. This stuff is so nice. The finish on it, the feel, everything is so nice. I'm pumped to show you how this is gonna look. And then we have an aftermarket fuel pressure regulator. I think it's a Nismo fuel pressure regulator or a Tomei one. I'm not sure. I looked at the part number but wasn't able to find a lot of information, but it is adjustable and it looks exactly like those two. And so I had to get a fuel pressure regulator mount that matched it. We're going to run it on the back of the fuel rail so that it's not right in front, it's not ugly. You'll hardly notice it against the firewall, and it's gonna look clean. Now we're running really nice injectors, Injector Dynamics, and our tuner Alex said we don't really need to run a fuel pulse dampener on our setup. So I'm gonna try not running one. I've always had one like on my Subaru and stuff, and if there's any issues with it, I'll let you guys know after we tune. But this bottom port right here on your fuel rail is for one of those. Since we're not running one, we're just gonna put a plug in it. All right, time to reinstall our injectors. Super important to keep this whole system clean. You don't want anything getting into the top of your injectors. So as you're like cutting your lines, assembling stuff, you do it in a clean space and make sure you're not contaminating the fuel system in between your new filter and your injectors, or else your new injectors are going to be all dirty and clogged. You don't want that. Got our O-rings lubricated up, so they should just slide in nice. Some injector companies will send a lubricant for that. Others will just tell you to use motor oil. That's what we've done. All mounted, ready to go. Next step, 10 AN to 6 AN. The rest of our system's plumbed in 6 AN, but the fuel filter receives 10. I know I keep saying this, but the radium products are super nice. You can see right here, it's marked fuel outlet and fuel inlet. So you know which direction the fuel needs to travel through the filter on its way to your injectors. Alright, so I got a push fitting here. The fuel is going to come from the regular OEM fuel lines into our radium fuel filter, and then it's going to come out of the top into our fuel rail. Yo, this looks amazing. Okay, I got the fuel filter in and mounted right here to the strut tower, and the fuel rail is all dialed in. Everything's tight, injectors in place. Now it's time to cut the fuel lines and plumb it around all super clean and as uniform as we can. There's a few limitations. I can't change the angle where this comes out, but I'm hyped. This is gonna look good. While you guys are working on your wheel fitment, I'm working on that fuel rail fitment. Time for some super nice, vibrant fuel lines. It's pretty crazy. I actually found this on Amazon for like half the price. So hopefully they don't up it now that I said that. I don't know if they'll see this, but if you need some vibrant parts, check Amazon. I'll link it below. Now here's what I'm envisioning. We're gonna plumb it here. We'll run it under the fuel rail, all sneaky. Make a nice clean loop right here to the feed out of the filter. Then this one will run at the same radius loop down into the return, which is down there. Told you it'd be clean though. Alright, so I'm gonna get this first piece of the fitting smashed all the way down onto the hose so that the hose is bottoming out. Alright, I'm gonna take this end of the fitting, lubricate it just a little bit so that it threads into the other fitting piece easily and slides into the hose, because this is going into the center of the hose. Get that all put together nicely, ready to go in. Okay, so I'm gonna mark where we need to trim this hose. All right, so we're running right here. We're gonna mount to the firewall, and then we're gonna come into the filter. And I'm basically gonna mark this hose where we need to cut it, and then I'll show you how you cut this type of hose. So I'm going to take a little bit of electrical tape and tightly wrap it around the line so that when I cut it, the braided part doesn't fray everywhere and we can still get it inside of our fitting. Try doing that without cutting your fingers off. I recommend getting a hose cutter. Just kidding, that was too big of a pain in the butt to do. So we're gonna do it a different way. I put a zip tie around it where we need to cut it, and we're gonna use a cutting wheel. So you need to be really careful that you clean out the lines after this so there's no debris in the lines that are eventually gonna go to your injectors. All right, got that hose ready. Our fuel feed line is done. Looks good. Wow, I cannot get over how clean this thing is. How good it looks ran this way. Fuel system ready. Thanks for joining today. Stay tuned because we will soon be announcing how you can enter to win our 240 SX. If you're enjoying these episodes and you want to see more projects like this, maybe more giveaways, smash that red subscribe button and help us grow. Thanks, guys.
Full Metal Alchemist.